I'm Charles Kilgore. This is the annual Fanex Fanzine panel. What we're going to do first is we're going to introduce everybody. I'm not going to introduce everybody because I don't know everyone here. So starting to my left here, I want you to say who you are and what you do.
I'm Don Salemi, and I edit and do a lot of the writing for Libertarian. Hopefully that will change.
I'm Craig Ledbetter, and I edit European Trash Cinema.
I'm Dan Taylor, and I'm the editor of Exploitation Retrospect.
I'm Ted Willis, and I got a secret.
No, this is Rob Sherman. I don't know how many of you have seen SPFX, Special Effects Magazine, since I haven't published it for the past 10 years. It was still is a fantastic, if you remember what they were like, and I may be coming up with another one now that I have the time. And that's what I did.
My name is Bob Sargent, and I edit and publish videos.
Oh,
Oh, thank you.
I write some, and I publish Echo, the World of Bizarre video.
Richard Valley, and I edit and write for Scarlet Street.
It's over there.
I'm David Kramer, and I write and edit Reaper's Harvest. Soon I'll have another magazine, Carousel of Torment, a magazine for insane children.
And I'm Gary Svehla, and I put out, of course, Midnight March.
I'm Nathan Miner, put out Bits and Pieces, which is the official Horror Fantasy Film Society Baltimore fanzine. You can pick it up downstairs.
Oh, stop selling.
$3.
Well worth it.
And I'm Henry Lee Lucas. I'm Tom DJ. I edit and direct, edit and write large portions of Sticky Carpet Digest, where you can have your cake and you really have seen things with it too.
I'm Michael Gingold. I write and edit and publish Paraphernalia.
And I'm Barbara Jarvis. I'm the one responsible for Zoomline.
Okay, now that we know everybody very well. First, we're going to run through a few things about why fanzines are put out, the whole purpose behind it, give you a good idea, and then we'll open it up to questions again to people. Starting with Dom, Mike Gunderloy's Fact Sheet 5 has a column that runs every issue, and if you don't know Fact Sheet 5, that's sort of like the Bible of fanzine. You should get it. Not just, you should get it. Not just horror fanzines about agriculture, anything you can possibly imagine is in there. But there's a great column called Why Publish. Every issue he allows somebody the opportunity to write why they do this. Because it's frequently not a money-making thing. They're doing it for the passion, the love of what they're writing about. Why publish?
Well, quite simply for us, because we just want to share our passions about various things with other people, and this is a way for us to do it. That's really it in a nutshell.
I just publish European Trash Cinema because that's really all I really care about is European film and to watch. Now, I'll enjoy reading about anything, but very few people know about them or see them, so I'm just basically trying to disseminate some information, and it's something I enjoy watching at the same time.
We got started doing ER because it seemed that Philadelphia film critics immediately hacked anything that even smacked of exploitation. And that was 5 years ago, and we've moved to the point now where there's 3 music articles and 1 article on Mountain Dew in our new issue, and 1 thing on Stuart Gordon's hidden pendulum. So sometimes I'm not even sure if we even belong on this panel. So
I published Special Effects just to make a buck, and we made about $4 grand an issue, and I just got tired of doing it. All right, I'm kidding. I'm sure everyone has just about the same answer. I wanted to compete with Fred Clark and do a better version of Fantastic. And it was just a lot of fun to do. I always liked 2 things, making films and publishing, and now it's spooks I can do. I guess everyone knows that the desktop publishing business has opened up everything. Now the equipment you used to have to buy or rent that was $400,000 or $500,000 for types of equipment in business, you can spend 20 grand on and own in your home and do the exact same work that you've done. So now that's getting a lot of people back into this thing again. I know that's one of the reasons I'm getting back into it. And I know that wasn't a question, but I just wanted to
Okay, thanks. I didn't know anything about editing or publishing before I got started doing videos, but there were so many enthusiastic people who were coming at me and wanting to contribute when I first proposed the idea that I kind of had to go through with it. So it was kind of an experience for me, or an experiment for me. I also had access to a Macintosh computer, so I thought I could do something that would look nice too, or look a little more polished. So, and now I'm hooked. I'm kind of addicted to it, so I can't stop.
I put out Echo because I like exploitation films, and a lot of the films I cover are movies that practically no one has written about, and they're fading. Some of these movies were only made 5 or 6 prints, and they were taken around the country. When the prints disappear, memory of the movie disappears. So I'm just trying to put on paper a record of what they were and what they were all about.
We do it mainly for the fun and also because there's a lot of things in our magazine that other fanzines don't cover. A lot of mystery things, the Sherlock Holmes series with Jeremy Brett. What really got us started with the first issue was that we started to get advertising. We had a newsletter, and the advertising was going to be larger than the newsletter. We sort of had to put a magazine together because we had the advertising. We did a little backwards. But now we're really very much involved in it. We've met a lot of interesting people, and it's new friends, like the Brunas brothers there, and
It's really like everybody puts you.
Billy Zini and Kim Chang.
I know. Yeah, I know. They never wrote for me.
Oh, I mean, my good friends.
You didn't answer.
I write and publish and edit because it's a passion for me, and pretty much it's the only thing I can do. Also, if we rely only on the larger horror gazettes, I think that's part of what is attributed to how base horror is today and many people's opinions of it. If magazines that had circulations of 100,000 and 100,000 and 150,000 and things like that are telling us that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 15 and Nightmare on Elm Street 23 are the greatest films released, then these magazines can't afford to bash these films, because if they do, they'll lose out on all those way cool gory publicity sales that people are cranking down their $5 for full cover each month to see. If we can't make a change, then we're going to get the same shit over and over again from year to year. Nothing's ever... people say there's nothing new under the sun. That's a crock too. Whether you're making underground films or making underground magazines, there's always something new. We can't be satisfied with the same old thing, or else in 20 years, we will be seeing Texas. Did you think that there would ever be a Friday the 13th Part 8?
God, no.
Sure.
Why not? Friday must be 13.
One makes money, you're going to see another one. That's the business, Why is that a surprise?
You didn't want to see it, but surprisingly, it stopped at 8 right now. I was they were 9 on 13.
Yeah, they're starting to lose money, they make money.
Perhaps we have different opinions, but I call Reaper's Harvest a new season of horror. I publish the unpublished and the unpublishable. My first issue was dedicated to necrophilia.
When do you publish it unpublishable?
Well,
you publish it, it's publishable.
There's a lot of horror magazines that
And give me that issue on necrophilia.
Just to carry on, I think Craig really hit the reason why. I think it really comes down to something very simple. We produce zines because the type of zine that we want to read does not exist. And it's like the old story. If you want it done right, you do it yourself. So we create the image of what we want to read, which I think is a simple fact.
Why do I publish? Well, for one reason, Gary asked me to. But really, you get to a point, if you're a fan of this stuff, I think you get to a certain point where you have to find another outlet, because you get to an area where you have to share all this wealth of information that you have yourself with people that actually care. You can't just grab your parents or your brother and say, hey, that a great film there, and say, yeah, good way. So you have to have this outlet, and it's a great way to do it, so you can touch with fans that enjoy the same type of fans you do.
Well, initially, Sticky Carpet Digest got started because we were under the impression that Steve Wachowski was never going to publish again. However, since Steve has published again, we are, it's become more, it's basically an outlet. It's something that I do, that I enjoy, and that I have a good time putting together and getting these people back. All of a sudden, there are these people who are writing to me, and they're telling me, gee, that sucked, gee, that didn't, which is somewhat exciting. It's your turn, Mike.
Okay.
Make it good.
I think Nathan touched on part of the reason I started, because there are very few horror fans where I lived, and many years ago when I got started, this was a way for me to communicate with other people and just a way to express my own opinions, unencumbered by any editors who might want to hack up what I write. You know, everything in the zine is mine, for better or worse, and it gives me kind of a sense of accomplishment also, you know, to put out something like this, and to find people responding to it.
Okay, well, when I showed up here last year, I've read zines, but when I ran into Michael Flores, I mean, everybody knows, he was like my first real zine experience, and I said, I don't want any part of this. And so I just kind of went back to music zines that I was writing for. But then last year I showed up here to the panel, and everybody here was so different, I was like, blew me away. I'm like going, well, everybody's not a Crook, everybody's not a Steve. So
We fooled it.
And the thing, something else that made me mad is nobody ever said anything about these people. And so I said, I'm going to do that. And then I decided, well, since I'm going to slam him, I said, why don't I write some things that are fun, too? And so I decided to write some fun things. I just had a good time with it. And like most of my mail I get is about people are like, well, I'm glad you said something about Flores. To be honest, and that's it.
Now that we've buried Michael Flores, I'd like to, I don't want to go from person to person here, but I just wanted to throw this idea out, see if anybody wants to respond. There's a lot of overlapping coverage between fanzines and the major magazines, so-called major magazines like Fangoria and all these split philosophies that you can get at people's drugstore. Why is your coverage equal to their coverage or worthy of being published when they're already doing the same thing? Anybody want to respond to that?
Well, because you're dealing with any mass market publication, you have to deal with a slight symbiosis. You know, the film companies are being polite enough to let you have all this information, and you have to be a bit more careful about. Although, I mean, if something is terrible, it will be called terrible. We are more personal. It's us who are sitting there. It's like, it's what our qualities, what we consider our values are.
I want to see We Are the World all of a sudden.
we are the ones who judge what stinks and what doesn't. And because it's personal, it's a more visceral.
Why is your opinion valued? I mean, there's thousands of film fans just probably in your hometown. Why are you published?
I know why I write for you. The same reason probably people publish them. You want your opinion to be heard. Because you don't, I've written to mainstream publications, and I've written for mainstream publications. And they don't, sometimes, you know, the editor goes through and it comes up very bland, very generic. I picked up one that I didn't even recognize what I'd written. The only thing I recognized was my name at the top.
You've got to realize, too, that the stories on a lot of magazines go out over the wire.
Exactly.
And they have access to the same stories, and they alter them to change them. So, you know, they subscribe to these things the same as newspapers do, and they'll get interviews. Like, I deal with most of the magazines. They'll have the Sean Connery interview come in. 10 magazines get the exact same interview. It just goes out of the service. They subscribe to that service per year, and they get articles that come out, they get interviews with all the stars, and then they just take them and move around the questions and answers, or alter their own questions for those answers. It's the same stuff, the same stories, the same. That's why a lot of stuff looks the same. It is the same.
I disagree that it's all the same, as I was saying.
Well, certainly not everything.
Yeah, but a lot of things. What we started initially with, which was the Sherlock Holmes series, the Jeremy Brett series, that they've been doing those episodes since approximately 1983. I can't think of a single magazine that has covered it. And Hound of the Baskervilles, Sign of Four, all the famous Sherlock Holmes stories, nothing, absolutely nothing on it. We have a situation right now, we don't do solely Sherlock Holmes, but we do a lot. But we have a situation right now where Jeremy Brett's playing Sherlock Holmes, Charlton Heston's playing Sherlock Holmes in a movie that's about to be broadcast, and Christopher Lee is playing Sherlock Holmes. Name another fanzine that's covering any of this. You pick a point of interest of you that you're not being satisfied by other magazines, by what they're printing. Either it's very little or it's nothing. and you try to fill that hole, that gap, and that's why we were, at least initially, starting.
The fact that Fact Sheet 5 is so full of zines, that is the zine of zines, should tell you that there is a very diverse market out there for anybody's opinion. Because people like to see somebody put themselves on the line and say, here's what I think.
Well, I think part of the answer too is summed up by a letter in Fangoria asking why they don't cover Asian horror films. And they say, well, we will in a future issue. Anybody on that panel knows they've been doing that in fanzines for 2 years. So, I mean, but that's part of the reason fanzines are way ahead of the slicks.
The zines coverage. The zines that are best are like the zine that covers things that you can't read anywhere else. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. The zines that I get a little bit bored with are the zines that do little else. I'm not saying that do it, but do little else than review current or video releases for the last year. And they have their little capsulized reviews and things like that. That begins to be repeated, and I get tired of that.
It's the easiest thing to do, though. I mean,
Yeah, well, it is the easiest thing to do. But we look at, ER, and he talks about, well, I wrote the Mountain Dew. I mean, the Mountain Dew, right, that was your... The Mountain Dew, I didn't think that I would, what would I care about reading about Mountain Dew? But I found myself reading this thing and a label changed and there's bemoaning and things like that. That's style. It's not really just the content, it's the fact that it's said in a curious way. I loved reading about urge overkill. Things like that, but I get tired reading about... It's different. Yeah, the church written up about, 12 times. I get tired of that. I'll be quite honest.
I like necrophilia in you.
Now, see, that's something that would get you going, right?
How you get going with those already gone?
A couple of issues the gold mic issue, and I sort of quavered a bit over doing an article that I wish to do about one of the worst authors ever to walk the face of this earth, a man named Michael Gingold. And I eventually ended up printing the article, and I got so much positive feedback on it about people saying, gee, I read that book. And it just, and there was the other one that I got the biggest response on was a in-depth look at Sledgehammer, the television series.
Oh, yeah.
When you quavered, was it in public? I'm curious. I do that all the time in public.
Now, you say that you started off because you thought that another publication wasn't going to continue anymore. I don't think any fanzines are created in a vacuum. I think that there is a precedent. So I'd like to go down the line again, if I can get you to name the fanzines or the book that got you moving, got you started writing.
Well,
Only one. That was it. That was the reason. Before I bless, let's move on.
I just, I had read a magazine that was called Spaghetti Cinema, and I liked it an awful lot, except Bill covered westerns and muscle man movies, and I like westerns and muscle man movies. But I love the horror films. You like Letty? No, I'm not going to sit on your lap either. I just, he wasn't covering the kind of European stuff I wanted to cover, but he inspired me that he could be that narrow of focus and have at least 4 or 5 readers. And I thought, well, I'll go that route and but again, do what I want to do. But yeah, Spaghetti Cinema was really what made me realize that, okay, I'll do that. I'll just do it a little different.
Dan? The thing that got me started, I was in college and was blowing off classes one day going through the periodicals department at school, came across a copy of Film Comment, and there was an article in there by a fellow named Jack Barth, which went through and did a overview of the world of fanzines. And he talked about a lot of different things. I know I mentioned Scaraffinelli in there. And I said, wait a second, you can do this? And I had just gotten to college, I had just gotten a Macintosh, and I said, well, hell yeah, let's do it. And, just liberally used my access to my company's Xerox machine while I was on co-op, and that's how ER got started. And it's been going on for 5 years and 32 issues, and I'm having more fun with it now than I ever have. So
That's really what got me started.
Definitely. I go back probably a little bit before that with Ernie Perino doing FXRH, another magazine probably no one remembers. But that was...
We remember.
Yeah, we remember.
We're geezers back then.
Remember that.
That was a great magazine.
And yeah, and that was, so I always kept saying, what the hell are we going to come up with for, an issue, a magazine on one guy? And then, of course, Skotax was Fantasy, and Fred Clark was Fantastique. So that was, what I wanted to do, that kind of magazine. At the time, I had a lot of contacts with people that were in these films, like, Ian Robinson and Les Tremaine, the people from the, the old War of the Worlds and David Stood Still, so I figured I'd do that kind of stuff. And it just, like I said, it was just filmmaking that took me away from it because I just love to publish, and I can't wait to start it again. So by next year, hopefully we'll have the new issue here. Cool.
Two different publications kind of got me going, I guess. One of them was this guy sitting here, European Trash Cinema. The specialization of that magazine kind of appealed to me because something that Gary touched on about, I didn't feel like anybody was writing about anything that I was interested in reading, so it was kind of for selfish reasons that I kind of got going. The other one was Dick Clemenson's Little Shop of Horrors. When I first got hold of that, he has a real nice way of, he brings his personality into the magazine, and after you read that, or for me anyway, I felt like, gee, I want to meet this guy, I feel like I know him already. So I felt like it'd be nice if I kind of could try to meld those two things into one publication.
Two's got me started also. I used to subscribe to Sleazoid Express, which to me was the very best one. And those guys just descended into the bowels of 42nd Street hell. Never seen one. They were lost. And I missed it. I really missed it when the publication folded. But what really got me started was subscribing to a magazine called Gore Fest, which I don't want to point any fingers, but I think Gore Fest is probably one of the worst fanzines that ever came out. I thought it was done by a 15-year-old kid, and it turned out the guy was in his 40s. The reason that got me started, I thought, well, shit, I can do better than this. And it sort of gave me the courage to publish, whereas the other one was actually my inspiration. This one said, yeah, well, if people are actually buying this, certainly I can't do any worse.
I had stopped reading magazines for quite a while because I was really bored with, the latest issue when somebody's head exploded. That was really all you could get, and someone's stomach blew up, someone's head exploded. It wasn't really what interested me. I liked the gothic horror, the older sort of thing and everything. Little Shop was an influence. Film Facts, when it first came out, I really got into because they were the older films and such, and if you could get beyond the fact that a number of the articles were slightly ungrammatical and a little difficult to follow, and it was an influence. And of course with the Sherlock Holmes journals and such for our Sherlock Holmes section of the magazine.
Well, I guess I'm coming from the complete opposite spectrum here. To me, basically, maybe when I was growing up and with my friends, it was a horror culture to me. To me, hardcore punk, which is what I cover in the magazine too, and horror, they're close together because everyone I knew who was into hardcore and people I used to go to shows with, whether they were just into splatter films or whether they were into whatever. So I just created, I saw the connection. I created this magazine that, to me, is a horror culture magazine. I'll publish articles about Ed Gein, and I'll also publish splatter stories. I have a section called Autopsy where we do strictly splatter, but I'll take gothic stories and comics we do. To me, it's just everything that I'm interested in encapsulated in one magazine.
So did you start off then with no inspiration of another fanzine?
To me, if you want to know the truth, the fanzine that maybe got me started with, I don't know if anyone knows Maximum Rock and Roll. It's a hard.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now just for them, that they are able to do that, continually put out a zine of at least 100 pages a shot every month, charge $2 for it, still have, an intelligent readership who are capable of writing letters from month to month that make sense, not just, well, I got my ass kicked at this show and this band's thing. The people who have opinions about racism and politics. I put an article in about censorship in our second issue. It's all tied in, and the day that people tell me to shut up and the day that people tell me to stop publishing is the day that I would just get more pissed, I think. I mean, band censorship, obviously, in any form, and it begins here.
We've taken a consensus over here, and we think you should stop.
I'm going to issue that next week.
Moving on down the line, being involved with like classic car, Ackerman's famous Monsters, of course, was a pro scene, but he had a little section in the back called Taunt Ads, and there were very, very, very few zines done at that time, very few. But there was one that Ackerman gave a major coverage to, which I bought in 1962, which was called Horrors of the Screen, put up by a person named Alex Soma. And it was one of the slickest, it was half size, but it was really great, and that was like 62, and 1 year later is when I tried my hand at one. So it was really that scene back in 62.
How many years have you been publishing that?
28 is past, I'm sorry.
That is the longest thing
Yeah,
taken out, isn't it?
that's the longest one, because it was gore creatures. It was really strange. Those of you who know Ron Borst, Ron Borst was a writer for us, back then before he was doing the shop, and he was ribbing me. It's like, gore creatures, that's a childish title. You got to change it. So, of course, in 1976, I changed it to Midnight Marquee, and then the whole gore cycle came back. And I probably could have sold just with the title long if I would have stayed, with, Slasher Films coming a couple years later. I probably would have done very, very fine if I would have kept my title, but I've been kind of doing it for 28 years then.
But that doesn't describe your magazine, though.
No, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. So it's a much better title, like I heard.
It's just nice knowing that there's one that's out there all the time. I mean, because you get to, I don't know if I can speak for myself, but you get to read these magazines and you sort of pick a few favorites and you just look forward to seeing them. Even if it's once a year, like a Photon, was a favorite of mine or whatever.
Oh, gosh.
And yours. And just nice knowing there's one that's always there, that you can always find it somewhere. And that's going to help you keep on doing it.
Yeah, because you can never assume that things will be around, but we're having fun.
Good. Inspiration. I'm sitting here while you guys are talking, thinking, what's my inspiration?
You've had plenty of time.
I didn't want to know when I got started. I knew Gary was doing his, I think it was the Freddy Krueger issues out around that time. And he had asked me to do it for the club. We'd say, what's the outlet for the club to write and let people know what we're doing and different trips we take and things like that. And I knew that there were fanzines, but I had never really read a whole lot or anything like that. I had Fangoria and whatever. So I thought, well, heck, that would be great. I think it's kind of an ego thing. I mean, we all have egos. We all think, well, this is great stuff we're writing. We're going to share this with everybody. We're going to love it. Then maybe I'll get like maybe 5 letters back out of the 100 I sold. Oh, well, it wasn't so good. But the ego certainly goes along with it. That we love to publish and see our name in print, and this is ours, what we're doing, and it's something to be proud of. I think Gary was probably the biggest inspiration, just asked me to do it and said, you can do it, go for it. So I said, well, let's give it a shot and see if it works out. And it has, and I really enjoyed it.
I've created a monster.
That's true.
He was already the long distance way back influence, of course, is Laurie Ackerman's famous Monsters, which, I used to, in grade school, pick it up and then, make my own little copies on, lined paper. But as far as Sticky Carpet, the biggest influence is what I like to call the Sleaze Gang of Four, which are, with Steve Pachowski's Slime Times, Michael Weldon's Psychotronic, Mike Gingold's Scaraphernalia here, stop blushing, and Rick Sullivan's Gore Gazette. I mean, each one had something that kind of contributed to the mix that is Sticky Carpet. So.
Well, the first inspiration for me was, I had heard about Sleazoid Express, and I was not aware. I thought it was a slick kind of magazine, and then of all places at Lincoln Center's Library of Performing Arts, they had some Sleazoid Express articles in their collection. And I thought, well, wait a second, this is just Xeroxed out. I could probably do something like this. So a friend of mine had also received a fanzine, probably not many people remember, called Confessions of a Trash Fiend. And whatever you think of that fanzine, it's just one Xerox sheet of paper, but I thought, this looks pretty easy. So I tried it, and got a few responses, and then I just kept making it bigger and bigger, and it took off from there.
Well, you can see how the ratio of men to women. And I basically decided to kind of drop an A-bomb and see what happens. And that's exactly what humor is. It's an A-bomb.
So you never really had a home?
No, any aspirations or anything. Just to see if I like it. It's more or less a parody of a zine.
How do you view your role? I guess we're all editors here, and not just writers with Fanzine. How do you view your role as an editor? And what I mean by this is, how do you deal with contributors? If you have contributors, do you pay them? Do you just pay them?
Don't even get that idea there, kids. Hey, and I can do it.
There's
Michael, want to do
I'm going to start with that because,
There's people that are Woody in the
okay, well,
This is good. Yeah, we do pay. We do pay. And there's a 730 right there. That's something, we might use it. But it's our way of getting rid of the people that we don't like. I mean, I can always say, there's not enough money, I really like your piece, but we just don't have it this month, and that way.
Do you, not only do I want to know about pay or whatever you do there, but how do you handle things for content? Would you edit for content or for writing skill or anything like that? I mean, suppose somebody sent you something you just thought was entirely inappropriate, but it was well written, or the flip of the coin.
If it's very well written but it's inappropriate, I just tell them that.
Yeah.
If it's really poorly written, I generally don't tell them that. I really don't. I just say, we just can't use it, and why don't you shop it around? But
you just buy it cheap and sell it yourself for the next
Or I use the money thing, if they're very persistent.
Well, I don't pay, and there's no way I could. But I also...
you pay.
Well, I pay in a lot of different ways with other things. It's how you get out of... We'll talk about you later, Steve. But, the way you handle contributors and the way I do it is everybody's different. Certain people, you really have to get after them. You have to ride them. You have to stay on their butt. You have to say, come on. I mean, within reason. Other people, you just say, I want this, and they deliver. And, you put on a different face for everybody. I mean, certain people need more prodding than others, and some just deliver. If I get something, I'll print something. Obviously, I'm not going to print something on Herschel Gordon Lewis and European trash soon unless he goes to France next movie. Very deep or something. But what I would do is if I get something, if it's very poorly written, I'm not going to, I don't want to go in and have to rewrite it for the guy. I'll just say it's just not going to fit. If it's well written and I don't agree, it's the third issue of the magazine had it was on Umberto Lenzi, who most people hate, and I happen to like. And I wrote this whole introduction to him about how I like his films, and most people think he's a hack. But I printed a review in there where the guy just trashed Umberto Lenzi from front to back. But it was very well written, and it fit the magazine. So I wasn't going to and say, well, geez, you're trashing this guy that I like, I'm going to throw you out. Nah, it's well written, run it. So, I'm not going to do
I
it.
think that touches on editorial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you just, you're up front with it, right?
We don't get a lot of contributions on a regular basis. We try to have different theme issues every once in a while. Issue 26 was our Kinski issue, which was probably our most popular issue. We had a lot of different contributors for that. We have a John F. Kennedy issue coming out in December, which we have some people who are going to be writing some things for. I write most of ER on my own, and I don't pay myself. So, it doesn't really apply. What articles I do get, I'll edit for style, and that's about it. I won't go changing what the people say. And as far as ER is concerned, there isn't an inappropriate article for ER.
Okay, Ted, why do you think I'm gonna pass it?
Wait a minute. It's the best thing. I get articles in. If I don't write them myself, if I get them in, regardless of how good or bad they are, I usually have people sign a waiver saying that I can alter it any way I want. So when they give me an article, if it's not, you know, what I want, I change it. I just make it what
That's more official than most. I've never heard of a waiver.
Yeah, well, it's good to have that because you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes you get these people who just, you know, they just don't want their stuff touched. Well, you have to use it, but you have to use it just the way that. I just don't even bother with this. You know, these people. I'm telling them right up front. I'm saying, I need this, and if it doesn't, you know, conform to what I need, I'm just going to change it. And I'll make it with that. If you have a problem with that, I'll submit it.
We don't pay either, and we can't afford to. We don't really make any money on videos. When I've only had 2 issues, and the first one, when that came out, I guess I ended up writing most of it. I had a couple of friends and other contributors who helped me. I really appreciated that. I didn't think that, I thought it was going to just be us, and then the second issue came out, and by the time we got to that point, we just been really lucky with contributors because people have started coming out of the woodwork, just volunteering their services and like sending me things, or they'll be asking me, you know, what can we write about? You know, can you give us a suggestion or something? Most everything that I receive, I really never edit because I feel like if I cut something out, it's not my piece. I might cut something out that's important to the particular person who contributed. So I'd like to print it as is, rather than, you know, if they were going to send it to like some kind of a mainstream magazine which had to cut it for you know, I don't have like fit problems, or, you know, I can always cut some of my own things, but I'd rather just print somebody else's piece just the way they wrote it. And it's very infrequently where sometimes maybe I'll go back to somebody and ask them, can you spice it up just a little, or, you know, elaborate on a particular actress or actor or something like that. Give a little more detail with background facts, and I'll supply it to help, but I'll ask them to write it.
I'm sure being an editor is that right? I mean, you're trying to direct the person to get what you really want.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what it is. It's direction. But most of the people have it already. Most of the contributors, they got it. I mean, the stuff I've been getting is great.
Good. I really don't pay. I just got a loan to put my last issue, as a matter of fact. Losing money instead of making it. But I find that handling contributors is the most difficult part of putting a fanzine out. Imposing your ego as an editor on someone's ego as a writer is not an easy thing to deal with. You don't ever want to go back to somebody and say their work wasn't good or anything like that. And once you start imposing, you're doing it without pay, so it's not like a newspaper, you know, or a magazine, you know, which is entirely business sort of thing. Usually the people who write, you call with their friends of yours, and it gets very tricky.
We don't pay. There are, as we're saying, different ways of paying. For example, once again, I'll point to the Brunis brothers who have written several articles for us. We don't do any editing really with their work, and everything comes in perfect. It's wonderful. We print it, and by way of payment, we go to their house, they feed us. They show us movies, and they entertain us till 4 in the morning. Yeah. And we figure that's enough. We're going to forget now. As far as editing is concerned, if a piece comes in fine, we leave it that way. If it comes in and it's poorly written, but the ideas that are in it are good, we'll work with the author, or we'll do some rewriting ourselves and give it back to them and say, is this okay? This change, this change. We won't publish it without their okay, but we'll work to whip an article into shape so that there's some conformity from beginning to end of the magazine. My publisher is pointing out it.
Do you want to mention the writing guidelines?
Well, yeah, we do have writer's guidelines too, that anyone who does contact us and wants to write, we send out guidelines so they have a clear idea of what we want.
We also don't pay. I'd just like to say something in favor of the small press. In the amount of time, which is about 2.5 years that I've been working within the small press, I have found that people involved in the small press are some of the nicest and most professional people that I've ever It's just a shame that so many magazines that have broken into the mainstream, like your Fangorias and things like that, really, I don't think they pay enough attention to the small press. Magazines like the Scavenger's Newsletter that save people who are writers hundreds of dollars a year, potentially, from buying sample copies of magazines, editors write in, this is what I want, this is how many words, this is how,
We're almost out of time. We've got
this
to
is how dot matrix. Support the small print.
Just real fast, I agree with Charles. It seems strange. I don't like to edit articles. I teach, so I like to write pencil. I like to do grammar things and things like that. But we're talking just errors, those words. I don't like to really condense. I don't like to rewrite, which might be the reason why we have, like in small print, 12-page articles. I don't pay, which has really hurt us because a lot of our writers are going, stuff that would have been given to us are now given to film facts because they do pay. And sort of, minimally, but hey, minimally versus
Sometimes they're
nothing.
given to both. Like Fred's article.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I was going to mention. And now what Film Facts is doing, they're reprinting, like Fred Olin Ray's article on Rondo Patton without giving any...
Even though you're copyrighted.
Well, a lot of times you can get permission to, if you're going to sell it to Fangoria, you can get permission or film it to use in the fanzine, as long as none of the pros.
Yeah, no, but just to finish my point, Fred did ask, to submit that, and I said yes, but I said it would be nice if credit was given.
Oh, okay.
They never gave
And they didn't.
They never gave it credit. And final point is, many folks think because Mid-Mars has been around for a while, it's a little slicker, that we pay. I can vouch in 28 years we are in the hole, probably deeper than ever, and we're not close to it. So those of you that think, gosh darn, if I do it for another 5 years, I'm going to, maybe you will. 28 years and red.
Well, you don't charge enough for the magazine.
$4.50.
The thing you have to pay for itself. And the way I worked it out is I found out that the distributors want 60% off, so you got to take whatever you're paying for the magazine, double it, add another 50 cents, add another this for postage, and that's how you have to come up with your price.
That's right. Well, see,
if you don't, you are going to lose money every year.
That's why our sub rate is a fair rate, where it comes down to $4 a copy, because when the cover price is sold for 60% off, and 80% of our copies are sold for 80%, as you well know, Ted, that means you could charge $4.50, but you get $1.60, and if the printing's $1.42 and you add postage, you might be in the hole before you send your first copy out.
Exactly.
So,
That's it. I really don't edit a whole lot. I get stuff in. I really don't have a problem with people. Well, I do have to ask people, want to do this article, want to do that article, and hope they say yes and all. And there's not a whole lot of people in the club, unfortunately, that do want to write. But my issue is it's mainly the same handful of people. Lauren Marshall in the back there does a lot for me, and very good articles. And John, and myself, but it's like maybe the three of us that are the big three that do everything. No, I don't like to edit. If anything, I screw up other people's articles with misspellings and all that kind of stuff, but I don't try to make it look very professional, very slick. It is a fanzine. I feel that's my personality. It's got personality. Doesn't have to be perfect, so I just throw it on the page and lay it out and make it look good, and don't worry about it. I don't say anything. Good about that.
Let's not forget about the artists. I mean,
very good point.
I mean, the artists are so important, and I think that they're not really used that much in the pro magazines, and the fanzines really give these people a shot. I know Gary's had some really good guys over the years,
really good artists, and I've lost a lot of artists.
It's tough to find. It's a great feeling you get when you get that stuff in the mail. Yeah, kind of guys.
Rather work with writers than artists any day. Some are gems, but artists can be the most insane people.
What do you mean?
Well, we do pay, sort of. Basically, I keep very detailed records, and because of a unique arrangement I have with my office, a lot of the things that would contribute to the overhead of creating the carpet are not a problem. So what profits I do get every 6 months is then tallied up and then divided equally among the contributors. Granted, it may come out to be about, like, last year was $1.66, but it's something, and I feel it's only obligated that these people are going to take the time out to work with me on something, that they should at least get something in return. Once or twice I've had to do some editing, mostly because while I run a column called Carpet Tax, which is a pro and con thing. And the people who do the con might be a little bit too nice so to speak. They might say, go see the film anyway, and that's not part of the, you know, so you just kind of like have to excise that out. But I do let them know beforehand. So that's about there.
Well, I guess I have more of an ego than most because my zine is mostly just an outlet for my own opinions. That's what it started out as, and that's what it's sort of continuing as. But on occasion, I do use outside contributors, and the only editing I tend to do is just for grammar, if the grammar is really poor, or for space, because sometimes, you know, I'll get in something that's very long and I just can't fit it in, because mine's a very small, digest-sized newsletter. So I just try to use my best judgment and condense it down in such a way that none of the flavor of the opinion is lost and none of the flavor of the writing is lost. I try not to rephrase things. I just try to make it a little more grammatically correct. But I think it's important that, you know, since this is another person, that it sound different from the rest of the stuff in there that I wrote, so that someone reading it doesn't think, oh, here's another review he's written, that it immediately reflects that this is another voice coming into the magazine.
Well, I pay nothing, and I keep the zines I get in trade for myself. So that's my pay. That's what I get out of it. Because, because I keep hearing you talk about all these old zines and stuff. I never saw them. Up until last year, I didn't even see any zines except like Cinemondo, if I went maybe. And I'm still kind of working with contributors. I mean, I've got people that I signed an article in November. I haven't gotten it yet. So I have to put something out. Out of the 10 articles I've assigned, I've gotten 3. And one of them was a guy copied an article word for word out of a book. And he was like, well, it's in high school.
Can I add something?
Sure, go ahead.
As a writer on the other side of the fence, I got to look at the editor's side recently, having my editor of Power Star magazine had some personal business that he had to take care of, and he sent me a quarter-pound packet of stuff that he said he needed typed. Would you please type, make appropriate corrections, send me back the original so I can compare, and we'll make sure that everything looks good. I sent him back the packet after having done the work, along with a note that one of the stories had a very definite problem, that the action-adventure part of it was great, but the interpersonal angles didn't work. Nothing worked. I didn't have any sense of passion or, you know, connection with these characters or anything. It was just there. And he called up the guy who wrote it, and they had a long talk about it, but it was very interesting that he took my opinion that seriously. And they had a long talk about it, decided to run it anyway, but I've got a feel for what it's like to be on the other side of the fence, and I don't like being on the other side of the fence. I'm glad I'm just the writer who gets the phone call that says, this works, but, because that's a little bit easier. At least you know your stuff well enough to argue back.
Editors who submit their, editors should also submit work just to get a feel.
Just to get a feel for the other side, exactly. I feel like that was my indoctrination into it. I don't want to publish.
Well, we've already established there's a certain amount of ego involved in putting out your own zine, so I want to take that a little further, and starting with Don, I'd like to get all of you to say something about what you hope becomes of your zine, what you'd like to do with it, and where you would like to see it going in the next couple of years.
Where I'd like to see it going, I just want to see it keep going. That's, and that will only happen if people continue to give us positive response, I think.
Would you like to see it become a prozine, or are you quite content with it?
I was really happy with the first issue. The graphic artist and my wife who did the layout feel that a slicker look would be better. I doubt. Defer to their judgment. I'm just a writer. So.
I can't see me obviously changing direction. I'm going to try to. You know, the biggest flack I get is this digest size, and it's hidden on. If somebody distributes it, you can't see it. It's hidden behind a full size. So I'll try to go full size with it, so it'll be a larger look to it. But as to going pro, I'm too narrow. There's no way. I mean, you know, nobody. You know, it's not that big an audience for it.
As far as the ER, I'd like to see it get a few more pages, which the next couple issues are going to have, and we're going for more specialized single subject type issues. We'll be doing Sandpack and Hot issue as well, and spy films, the James Bond knockoffs. So we're looking at having more informative single subject issues like the Kinski issue, that kind of thing.
Well, I'm lucky. If I publish SPFX, Special Effects Magazine again, I know I'm not going to have time to do it all the time, but my brother is interested in the same things I am, so he's already said that he would, be glad to take it over for his own computer, and so I'm going to just, when I can't do it, if I'm doing film, I'll just oversee the magazine, and when I can, then I'll do it. So I would be happy if it just runs like Gary's magazine, just keeps on out there, and it doesn't really matter whether it goes, whether it would ever go pro or not. Hey, if someone big wants to make an offer and take it over, like it's got a lot of people, I'm more than happy to sell it. And it's not available, but that's that.
I'd like to see videos break even. It's like everybody seems to have the same problem. You go in a hole doing this kind of thing. We're not really doing too bad. I mean, we sell everything that we print, but it is expensive to publish. We're going to consider taking on advertisers, which is going to be a bit of a tightrope walk because some of the guys who probably going to want to advertise sell videotapes, and we happen to have a column where we kind of rate the people who sell videotapes. So we could run into some problems there.
The necrophilia issue would be tough too at this point.
yeah, but I'm kind of with Don too. I'd like to see it keep going because I think we have a lot to say. So.
Well, I have to agree with you. I'd like to see my publications break even at least. And if I'm going to get bigger distribution, I'm probably going to have to start accepting advertisements because otherwise, how can I fill up my pages? At this point, it's 16 pages long, 90 types with no ads. I work for a living. I'm sure all of us have other jobs. Certainly not keeping ourselves alive with this. So I just don't have the time to put out a bigger magazine unless I do go with ads. So that'll probably be my next step.
I'm just curious, can I just ask everyone on the panel a quick question? How, I know when I did special effects at the distribution, I would get CK at the time, whatever, and they would handle like 2,000 copies, and then you try to sell another 2,000 through stores, another 2,000, whatever. But how does everyone distribute these things? I mean, how do they get out? I mean, do they get to just the specialty shops? Is the big distributors handling them that goes around the country? Is it just distributed locally?
I was happy to get to that. We're not going to have time, but I mean, one-word answers would be fine. I was curious.
I just recently got picked up by Capital City.
Okay, let's go on.
So did we.
They're great, so do we.
We have, in addition to Capital City, we have 3 other distributors, so we're just taking on the magazine. We're just starting with that, but it seems to be going.
Do you go through Capital City, Gary?
I wanted to mention Capital City. Capital City is the only one of the biggies that we insist on COD because 3-4 years ago, Capital City made us wait about a year for our money. And that was the time when the biggies were folding, like Seagate was folding, and what was the other one on the West Coast? Diamond, no, that's based in Baltimore. That's
Seagate, there's another one.
Seagate, well, another one folded, and Capital City didn't pay us, and they paid us after about a year, but they're like COD. So all of these people that are singing the praises of Capital City, watch out.
If we're going to be talking about that, and anyone's going to be accepting advertising or thinking of doing that, I warned them, video bold.
Yeah.
We haven't been paid yet for the ad that they paid, and it's about half a year.
That was another question I was going to stay away from.
You talk to Michael Welling, because he runs their ads all the time.
We've talked to him. We don't know what the problem is. We've phoned them over and over again. Oh, I'm sorry. The secretary was supposed to write the check. She's writing it right now. I'm looking at her do it.
We're starting with the real bitchy stuff. The gossip and the backbiting shit. We've ended it all.
See the new psychotronic video for Who to Stay Away.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have been burned by one guy in particular. Michael Norman of Detroit Negative. Let me smear his name in the mud right now. He ripped off a whole bunch. He's number one.
Hey, you're on tape. You better watch your ass.
I have corroborating evidence. I can bring forth witnesses. I'll subpoena them. I'm not worried about it.
You send it to everybody. Everybody.
So how does smaller magazines distribute? Does everyone go to a major distributor for distribution?
No, not mail. Just subscription stores.
Subscription
Well, we have
to
specialty stores.
that you send to yourself. You
Yeah, we handle it all.
You send them a sample copy that you want a few of these in your store across the country.
For some strange reason, we have gouts of specialty stores in New York and of all places, Cambridge.
Yeah.
Cambridge seems to be really big on us for some reason.
Who wants to put in the last word? We're out of time.
Let's get out of here.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you.